Hi, welcome back. Been a while since I've done anything with a Peugeot, so today is cam belt and brakes. Not looking forward to it, I'll be honest. It's not far off ready for MOT. Just brakes, discs and pads to sort, rear brakes to sort, a couple of brake pipes to sort, cam belt because it's been sat for so long. But I don't really want to do it. I don't like cam belts. We should carry on. We'll see how it goes anyway. Another chewed wire, another one to the brake pad wear indicators, so that's not a massive disaster. It'll be all new pads and discs anyway, so I'll go back to old school servicing where you need to keep an eye on things rather than wait for a light to come on. Release the alternator belt. Now the bottom pulley is loose. Oh, that's bottom pulley off. Bit of a faff. See, the belt looks quite good, but age gets them rather than wear most of the time. I don't give a lot of warning. They just tend to go strip teeth, and then it's game over. Right, I've had a bit of timing up whilst you've been off camera. Getting the bolts in here and there, hold these pulleys solid. And then one at the bottom, you're supposed to have an 8mm bolt or bar or timing pin that goes down behind the starter motor. It's a pig to get at. As long as you've got a reference at the bottom, you mark it so you know where it's supposed to be. There is like a keyway on there that shows the direction, so you know you're in the right place. So as long as nothing moves or turns, I've already cracked the adjuster off because it was a pain. So you basically release the pressure on that, and then in theory you can get the old belt off fairly easily. Just have to wriggle it around the tool that I put in that's now in the way, so I'll have to take the tension back off the belt, or off the tensioner, sorry, and lock that in place. That means I can then take the tool out of the way, because at the moment it's stopping me getting the belt off and the new one on. Ow. Standard. Yeah, it's just a 3/8 drive. And there's the old belt off. Still got some markings on the back, so it's not ridiculously old. However, age kills them. You roll them back on itself on an old belt, you'll usually see cracks, but as it happens, this one looks alright. But for the cost of it in a couple of hours, it's a bit more expensive if you do it in a garage. Then you get your new belt, and typically with French things, there's several variations, so you always check the overall length of them, make sure they're the right one. They come with numbers on, but usually, let's have a look on this one. They usually tell you the number of teeth and the width of it. 254, 136 teeth. So if you go on that, I did look online several times. Not horrendously difficult compared to some cars, but now these don't kink them. You can sort of look them and roll them, but don't go kinking them because it damages the fibre inside. and could cause premature failure. Basically, feed it back down. Got tensioner off at the moment. Goes over the top of this engine mount, or where the engine mounting was. So it'll be all right. Just don't over tension them. When you put new belt on and then you retension onto an old pump, you can do them too tight. Now you got a tiny little bit of movement either side on each pulley. You can't. It's only because of a tiny bit of movement on the pulley on the locking pins. Now when you tension it, that'll all go. If you're a tooth out, you'd know about it because you'd have a massive amount of slack in it like that before you start. So you basically tension it round and get it in the right place. Right, if you can see there's the white mark. That's where I marked it up to start with, so it's in line. The top pointer points at a casting, and if that's in the it's in the right place. But as long as you don't go moving things, one tooth out is clearly obvious, so it's too far. So you can get away with it for the times that you're doing, unless you're doing it all day every day in a garage. It's not a massive big deal. I'll just put this bolt in just so it's set snug. There we go. Now 2 turns right round slowly will settle the belt, and also, I mean, you can check the timing hasn't moved when you put it together. So you got 2 full rotations for the crank to 1 at the top end of the engine for the cam and the pump, and that's 1 done. It's just a safety measure. Some people don't bother, they know they've done it right, so they just check, but you're better off doing it just for safety's sake. Everybody's there you go, that's that lined up there again. Just check the top pins going okay. Go back to that tensioner at the back. You've got about 90 degrees you want on the longest stretch. It's a sort of general rule of thumb. You can have some engines that really have to be accurate, but old school tractor engines like these, as long as it's on and it's timed up correctly, pretty much run forever. Now that's tension itself, the timing's correct, so I'll just nip that up again and that's it done. Now, as customary, you always have to start them up before you finish building it. Just be aware if you do, things wobble about and fall off jacks, and it's probably not the best idea. Same as if you've got a car without an exhaust on, you've always got to start it with the exhaust just out of interest. Perfect. Cold, spluttery, typical Peugeot diesel. And the belt's alright. Tension's okay. Let's just now put it back together. Get the bottom pulleys on, get the covers back on, disconnect the battery again. You don't necessarily need to, but it's always better to. Some people will even let you change a headlight bulb without disconnecting those first. Right, let's start getting the covers back on. Right, everything's lined up now. Pretty much get the engine mounting back in. Just have to be a bit of a wriggle around to get it to line up. Shouldn't be too bad. There you go. There's your phone up. So it's still on the jack at the moment. Coolant to change as well. Because might as well do it right. again, just gently with these. Just done for speed, and I'm going to get the jack out now, it'll settle. There you go. Here, all these are quick tighten up. Last little one on the mount itself. There you go. Cam belt done, alternator belt tensioned, everything back together. Relatively painless. I've been putting it off for a long time. Brakes next. Get some discs and pads on the go. And get the wheels back on. I left that wheel off deliberately so that I could get the cam belt, but I didn't want to put new discs on and leave it out in the rain and weather for weeks on end.